You do the intro, Simo.
Okay, wow, on the spot. Welcome to another episode of the Standard Deviation Podcast. This is episode number
10-ish?
10-ish. Yes. Wait, we were 10 last time. No? Well,
No,
this is episode number N, and the N is a variable that we'll fill in at a later time, using our dynamic capabilities of editing this podcast on the fly. Juliana will handle all of this, and she will overdub the N with the actual episode number by using an AI to recreate my voice. This is what you have planned for this week, Juliana.
that's exactly what I'm planning to
Yes.
using because I know now everyone is talking about generative AI, so I'm just gonna generate
Yeah.
something and be like episode number one.
Yes.
Very, very
Episode
robot.
number 10. So so we had a talk with Jim Genolio last week, and I
Yeah,
mentioned, so a funny thing, I mentioned that my blog turned 10,
yeah.
and funnily enough, I thought that it was May 5th. So I on May 5th, which was a Friday, I wrote a couple of things in Twitter and LinkedIn and saying that, yay, 10 years of blogging and so on.
I
So
saw.
as it turns out, I checked the Whois and it was actually May 4th. So totally unconsciously, I had reserved like the coolest day of the year for releasing the blog because it was the May the 4th be with you day,
Yeah.
Star Wars Day, which was cool. But the very uncool thing was that when I did the search for that, when I went to Whois and searched my domain to see when I had registered it, I noticed I had forgotten to update its registration. So the domain was available for anyone to take.
Oh
I was really
no.
lucky that it had only be for one day, so I quickly went to my domain registrar and saw that like my payment card had expired because I had gotten a new card, but I forgot to update the card. So there was a very panicky moment that on the 10th anniversary of my blog, somebody hijacks it and just takes it up for ransom. But luckily, nobody noticed it. But the stupid
Oh.
me, because I had printed a screenshot of Whois that shows the expiration day as the yesterday. So I had a very short time window to realize that this is what happened. So, but I managed to pay it, and I think they have some protections in place. Like if a domain expires, I don't think they immediately let
Immediately
somebody take
release
it
it.
over. But
Imagine the fun somebody buys your domain. They say, Simo, I have your domain.
yeah, that would be cool. And
No.
like it's and it's like it's you know it's not valuable, of course. I mean, it has a bunch of backlinks, but it's still not like it's not Pornhub valuable, and but it is a extremely like high personal value. So it
Of
would be like
course.
I would pay anything to get it back, of course, if that happened.
Don't
This
tell
is
them
not.
that.
Yes, exactly. I would not pay anything for you. I will not submit to terrorists
I'll start
and
a new one.
ransom. Yeah, I will not. But I will pay you anything. But I will not pay you anything. Don't listen to me. Listen to me. Anyway, what's going on? Apart
I
from
don't.
that, little panic
Oh,
moment.
no, I mean, it's a lot of doomsday happening lately, especially if you open Universal Analytics or GA
Ah, the
lately.
banner.
The infamous banner. I don't know what's wrong. I mean, I love so my official statement. I love GA. I love it so much. But my unofficial statement is like, why would you do something like that? Like it's so tacky.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. And I wanted to run something by you actually because I've seen so many talks about migration, but like is it a migration really or is because I don't understand how could you migrate because it's a total different tool with a total different
Yeah.
model. It's not like you're
So
migrating A/B testing tools.
yeah, so just to inform people in the future who might be listening to this, we are talking about this huge ass banner that now pops up when you open Google Analytics that has a countdown timer counting the days from well it was released when there were 60 days remaining. So and it's like completely out of place. It looks completely different to the UI. It looks like somebody slapped it into a browser extension and it's like so at this point I've been very platonic about this whole thing. I appreciate GA4 for what it is as a data collection model and a somewhat easy to set up thing, but this is like it's really boiling over, and I'm really chill about it, GA4, because I don't have a stake in the game. Like I have a couple of
Yeah.
clients, of course, for whom I feel kind of bad because they're going through this mess. but like my personal livelihood isn't dependent on the rollout of this platform, and we've made a conscious decision at Simmer to stay away from GA4 courses, not because it wouldn't be an interesting or a very profitable thing to do a course about, but because if we do a course, then every week we'll have to redo the videos because it changes so fast. So we've stayed away from that. But at
Yep.
this point, when the GA team is like employing scare tactics to get bully people into adopting their platform, and every week I see another,
Tweet.
tweet or a LinkedIn post from friends of mine as well, like people I really respect in the industry, saying that you have to migrate now. And I don't want to start a fight, but my point is you don't have to migrate now. Like there's absolutely no reason to be bullied into GA4 without doing your due diligence and looking at everything else that's out there. Like there's this weird funnel up understanding that if you have universal analytics, you must go to GA4. But like you said, they're completely different platforms. And I think that, the majority of people will go to GA4, and all the power to them. And I'm sure that GA4 will be able to satisfy most of their use cases. But the point is, you're no longer obligated to follow that funnel like you were when you went from classic universal, because that was the same, the same model,
Yeah.
the same data, the same UI. So I'm feeling that most of my friends and compatriots and people in this industry either haven't realized this, or they're just trying to maximize their profits of this migration and selling the consultation, which really just kind of pisses me off, because they're playing this game and they're playing along with what Google's party line is. But Google knows that this isn't the case, so that's why they're trying to bully people into upgrading to GA, or upgrade is the wrong word, into moving to GA4.
Moving, yeah, like
Yeah, but
it's weird because like it's also in a way tragical comical, because you
mm,
see I look at tweets from their Twitter account, and they're like 69 days, 59 days, and
yeah,
reminds me of those people that are like posting 59 sleeps before Christmas. I'm like,
yeah,
who does this? Like, who does
yeah,
this? Like, what is wrong with the marketing team there? Like, you could do so much education, and I know they're working on
for
like
sure.
enterprise marketing
Yeah,
platform to do more demos and whatever. But the problem is like there's too much opportunistic things going on right now in the market when it
yeah.
comes to GA4, and it's pissing me off. I'm in a tough position because I have to do this for a lot of clients, and I'm happy to
You
do
have
it.
to love it.
I love it. It's I just like, if I was Google right now and I'm not, I would focus more on addressing the issues with the product and the user interface to make things more accessible, to make things more
Mm,
useful. Last week it was they pushed out this user journey purchase standard
mm,
report. And ever since they pushed that, the platform was down. The library disappeared from
yeah,
360 properties. Like, they have really bad issues with the product. And like, why would you put all your efforts to
yeah,
put that ridiculous banner there to scare people? Because people that don't know, that have a small business, that have a small shop, they see that and they get in the panic mode, like, oh my god, I'm gonna lose my data, I'm gonna do this. So it's sad, and they could do better than this.
yeah, yeah. It is.
Yeah.
It is weird. They're advertising a countdown to a breaking change. That's basically what they're doing. Right. That's not how you do product marketing. You don't advertise that our platform is about to break in 55,
Yeah.
54,
Yeah.
53, 50. That's not like, yeah. It's yeah. So but marketing aside, like this. Like, is it a migration? I think that's a good question. It's technically not. Like, you can migrate your user, like, access control levels. You can migrate maybe your segments at some point.
Goals
But clients,
maybe.
yeah, but it is a migration client side, unless you've been doing the right thing, which is do like a platform agnostic data layer, which I've been a huge fan of since the beginning. So when you like configure your tagging, you don't create a data layer that's universal analytics specific. You
Yeah.
you create a data layer that's platform agnostic. Of course, in GTM, you'll have to do a migration. You'll have to recreate tags in GA4. But there are already tools for that, like the GA utilities tool by Ben Kuhn, and just a lot of stuff you can do for it. But
And your e-commerce one for products to items, which I use.
yeah, but that's actually not a good tool to use, because that kind of I'm always as good at marketing as Google. So because that relies on you having a universal analytics
Yeah,
data
data
layer
layer.
and
Yeah.
reusing that for GA4, which doesn't make sense, because you should instead fix your data layer so that it's not universal analytics specific, and so that it's not even GA4 specific. That's like always been my recommendation, to avoid kind of avoid doing a prescribed schema. That's my point. Because if you do a very GA4 specific data layer, and then you install another system through Google Tag Manager or something that requires additional information, then you have to kind of rewrite the stuff or do an
Okay.
additional data layer object. Whereas if you have a generic data layer, which you could just easily add stuff to and then just map it to different platforms, that's the way you would do it. That's how server-side
That's a
tagging
great
works,
point.
for example. Yeah, but it's more complicated because with a generic data layer, you have to kind of peer a bit more into the future. You have to think about
Yeah.
all the possible use cases, and there are some like GTM quirks, like the recursive merge, that you need to think about. But anyway, besides that, as a migration, it's just like every other platform shift. My recommendation is to start small and scale up. So get your basic events in order and then start adding custom stuff once you know that it works.
And turn
But
off enhanced measurement for clicks because it's useless.
yeah, I think that this is another interesting discussion. But we both know that there are different levels of GA users, and I think that we can both also guess that the long tail of GA4 installations will be just a config snippet and then enhanced measurement. And that's,
That's sad.
it's sad, but it's fine. That's just how that's a reality. That's how, all these website builders are going to do it, where you just
Yeah.
input your measurement ID and that's it. And that's fine for those. But as you said, like if you already have GTM running on the site, then enhanced measurement is going to be a problem, because you're just going to pollute your data layer with additional events, and you have no idea where these came from.
Yes.
And the same reason, in the same breath, wow, this is going to turning into like a GA4 unloading. But
People have been waiting for
don't
this.
don't modify or create events in the GA4 UI.
Oh
Please
God.
don't do it. Please, please, please don't do it. That's like slapping a band-aid on a band-aid on a band-aid. It's just, I understand the rationale for it is mainly the main rationale is the conversion model, where you can't create a conversion out of event parameters. So you have to create these clumsy new events instead. I hope and I believe that this will be fixed at some point, so that you can actually create conversions on events and parameters. And at that point, there's no excuse to do that create events thing. Because what the create events, modify events thing does is it sends a message back to the browser and instructs the browser to kind of generate that event. So now when you're auditing the site, you're wondering, where the hell are all these events coming from? I haven't built those in GTM, and if you don't have GA4 access, there's no way to verify that.
Yep.
And you can actually find it in the parameters if it's a created event, but it's like a hashed value. There's no way to, like, you have to be a David Vallejo type of wizard to figure out that this is what the parameter is for. So please don't. Google is trying to really aggressively push towards a UI driven administration model, which is, fine on some level. It's the
It's
reason we don't
ambitious.
have, it's ambitious, and it's the reason we don't have custom task. They want everything to be done
I
through the
really
UI.
liked custom tasks.
Oh,
That
dude,
was one of the
like, that's
things
my
that I
life.
liked. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And I
Yeah,
learned that
but we
from
don't
your
have that now.
article. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and we
know
don't
it's
have
not
that
there
now.
anymore.
So,
That's
and the reason is because they want people to do this stuff to the UI. They don't want you to do like client-side hacks. And okay, I can accept that if you make it possible to do this stuff through the UI. Like that's the ask. So, you know, I think that's enough a downer for this. But I'm I'm ambivalent about GA4. Like, I'm fine. I use it on my own websites. I run other analytics tools as well, but I'm fine with GA4. I like using it through BigQuery. There is a
yeah.
point, there is a critical point where you no longer get the benefits out of GA4, where you could just simply replace it with a direct database, right? Like, there comes a point, if you don't use any integrations, if you don't use any like audience building, if you don't use the UI, then at some point you're going to have to figure out, like, do I actually need to go through GA4 anyway? Why not just write this stuff directly into data layer? And there's actually a nice use case, not data layer, but BigQuery. There's a nice use case from Mark Edmondson, where he wrote an article, we'll add it to the show notes, where he built, I think it was called Edmondlytica. So he built his own analytics tool in server side, which is simply just a client that writes stuff to BigQuery. So you can
That's
actually
so
do
cool.
this. Yeah, you can actually already build your own analytics system if you're solely using BigQuery, and you don't have to use GA4, and you also avoid all the regulatory problems that come with it. So I'm ambivalent, but the more Google is pushing this kind of really annoying scare tactics, the less I'm becoming ambivalent, and the more I'm kind of leaning towards just pure annoyance and frustration about it.
And
But
they have educational content. It's just they don't push that out.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
the weird part for me because
Yeah,
they
I don't know if
just
people know about the YouTube channel. Like Matt
the
Lenders puts a lot of
YouTube.
good stuff there, but I don't know if people know about it.
No, because they don't promote that, and they have the enterprise marketing platform for partners where it's full.
Yeah,
Like they have a full section on GA4, and it's actually very decent.
and I think,
It's
so Google Analytics has a huge Twitter account, but at least at some point when the advocacy team was run down, I think it was just given to the ads team, which of course was
probably
a horrible decision. And I think that what Google is actually trying to do now, they have a Discord server where they want people to join. We'll have to add that to the notes as well. I have to look it up. But Discord versus Twitter, like,
yeah.
you have a Twitter account with like millions of followers. Maybe use that to promote GA4.
Yeah, because Discord is an added layer of friction. Not everyone is on Discord, and
Mm,
or is
for
gonna be
sure.
willing just to create a Discord
Yeah,
account
and it's an
just to
internal community. Yeah. And there
makes
used to
no
be like
sense.
back in the day when GA had an active Twitter account, like every week they promoted stuff that people have been blogging about. They retweeted that stuff. They wrote like their own tweets about it every single week, and it was really really cool. Now
They
it's just
should they have the Google Plus code anyway. They could just do a community like they have, I'm in the developers community, and that's a very good place
yeah,
where you can get all sorts of news in the Google Developers Europe, and you get
yeah,
all these emails and newsletters. Like, why not use platforms
yeah,
like that?
yeah.
Anyway, but I have a question actually. Like,
Mm.
I used I didn't use the interface for events, but I used the API admin because I have one of my clients has apps, and we're developing the app, so we have to send the events through the code. And what I did was I created the events with the API in advance. So when the code was pushed live, the events already started gathering data. Like that, that's the only way I see it. But it's still not from the interface. It's from the
Mm.
admin API.
Yeah,
And you do that utility in a Google sheet,
yeah,
and you just create because it has 50 properties, this specific
yeah,
app. So that's the only way I use that with Firebase, but it's still not from the interface. So like you created this in advance because you're supposed to code these events in the app. Like it's not a GTM thing, it's a app thing
yeah,
to see all the events. So that's the only way I see it, just because that they start collecting data when they're live. But yeah, like I don't advise people to use not even conversion events to create from the interface. It's
yeah,
so bad. It's so bad,
yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
But
Anyway, enough about
but
GA4.
enough. I hope people are gonna be satisfied with this because like we avoided we've recorded 10-ish episodes without having a rant, and this is like the mild version of it, just
Yeah,
know. But I wanted to take the opportunity right now before we have a guest in, but before we get our guest in, I'm struggling, Simo, because you never like my music choices. So now I'm coming with something totally different. So I listen to this when I work, and I need, besides trap music, I listen to this lo-fi called Lo-Fi Girl. This YouTube,
okay.
it's like a live thing. So I selected the lo-fi beat for today's Simmer ad. So let's see if you like this one. There you go.
Yeah, that was good. I like it.
Yes,
I like the crackling vinyl.
finally,
Yeah.
finally.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good tune. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No. Yeah, I could have that droning in the background when I'm doing some work. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I will put the link to the Lo-Fi Girl YouTube
Good.
channel.
Yeah, that
It's
was
for
really nice.
everyone to. It's good for doing sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So this podcast is sponsored by Team
Oh,
Simmer.
really?
Yes.
This is news to me. Yeah. Yes.
Brand new
Hello, everybody.
information.
Hello, everybody. It's Simo from Simmer again. Um, and we have a online course platform called Simmer. You'll find at teamsimmer.com, where we have a couple of courses for technical marketing. And today's highlight will probably be that we are about, well, not about, but we hopefully will release our new website soon, which has all sorts of nice stuff. And we're making it easier to buy our courses, which has been a struggle until now. So checkout optimization, I hear, is a thing. So we're trying to fix that. And so our most recent course is Mastering CSS Selectors, where you'll learn about that particular aspect of technical marketing. And hopefully this year I'll have time to, or not hopefully, I will have time to revisit some of our older courses and redo that material. Because server-side tagging, for example, it's been around for 3 years now, the course, and I should really start fixing
Yeah.
some of the older stuff, because it's been done like so the contents are completely accurate and fine, and you won't miss out on anything. But the video quality and everything is a bit like I'd like to redo that. So I'm going to be refreshing a lot of that content, and there's going to be a lot of stuff released in server-side tagging this year that warrants new content as well. Anyway, that was Simo. Oh yeah, one more thing. If you're listening to this podcast, you might be interested to know that there is a discount code available. So you can use the coupon code DEVIATE, that's DEVIATE, to get 10% off a single course purchase. So it doesn't apply to bundles, but it does apply when you just buy a single course. 10% off, DEVIATE.
Woo, 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 woo. Awesome. And yes, I think with server side, I took a course some time ago, not yours. I won't say whose, but I took another course. It was free in that context, but I the way I
Yeah,
learned it.
GA4 is free as well.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. No, but it's a good course
Okay.
platform. But what changes that the way I learned how to do it was with the CNAME hack, which
Mm.
now it doesn't work anymore from what I heard because they reduced the cookie right duration.
Yeah,
So
so
the
the CNA mitigation has been around for a long time. It's been yeah, so that's uh I think I actually already, when I built the server side course, it was already known, because in that course I
oh, okay,
recommend avoiding CNAME. But now they also have the so now basically in WebKit browser. So what we're talking about here is the way that you configure the DNS, so the domain name
yeah,
for your server side tagging system, is relevant. Because if you configure it with a certain type of DNS record, like the CNAME record, the canonical name record, your cookies will be restricted in lifetime, even if you set them in the server side response. So the other option is to use IP address records directly, so map the domain name directly to a web server. But WebKit is also restricting those now.
yeah,
So there's practically, for people just wanting a plug and play system with server side, there's no way to do it so that your cookies will have their full lifetime in WebKit. There are ways around it, using reverse proxies and using Cloudflare, Edge redirects, and so on. But they're all a bit more advanced, and they don't necessarily satisfy all the use cases. Like a reverse proxy doesn't just forward the cookie headers as you would expect it to do. So, like, this is again this would be good for our next podcast rant. But
maybe we can get Mark also for one of
yeah, but
these.
yeah. So I guess like my recommendation for server side is that people have been thinking about this cookie rewrite thing as this huge benefit. I think it's a fringe benefit. It was never I never considered it to be like the reason to start paying money for server side. It's a single browser environment, WebKit. Of course, it covers all the iOS and iPad browsers as well. But 7 days versus 2 years, I don't want to say it's a trivial difference, but there are in many cases in analytics, especially, where it doesn't necessarily matter that much, because people use incognito modes, they browse with different
Yeah,
browsers. The amount of fragility and inaccuracy and uncertainty is already quite big. So I know that it feels like, oh man, like we just all the time have to come up with these workarounds for WebKit. And at some point, I think you just have to accept that WebKit is going to be a question mark in terms of cookie rewrites. And if you want to jump through hoops, you can jump through hoops, but there's no saying that a future update from WebKit will just render all your efforts invalid anyway. I have a feeling that at some point, I have a gut feeling that WebKit is just going to restrict all cookies, regardless of how they're set. And there's no way around it except by some kind of opt-in API where the user is actually prompted, do you
with
want this site to?
yeah,
And like they're doing now with third-party cookies. So I have a feeling like the more you invest now trying to figure out workarounds, the more disappointed you're going to be in the future. So
and a lot of
it
things
is
that you
just a
need to undo.
yeah. It is just the nature of the game. So in my list of reasons why use server-side tagging, um, getting cookie lifetime back in WebKit has now fallen to a very, very low position. It's not a priority for me at all, and I try not to even bring it up when I'm talking to people who are interested about WebKit. Anyway,
Well,
wow, this has been a
this is,
yeah.
yeah, it's cool. But if you want a podcast episode where Simo goes on about server side, let us know. And maybe we just talk about this because this would be an interesting topic. Also, like just to explain people like what it is, what's the
Yeah,
alternative, what's possible. There's a lot of people that are very junior that listen to our podcast, and I think this would be a very interesting conversation to have
sure.
because I have my own junior questions, so that would be interesting. But we have a guest today.
Yes.
We have Magda Baciu from Growth Savvy. She's the founder of Growth Savvy, and we're going to talk about how it is to run an agency, how it is to hire digital analysts, how it is to mix creative work with keeping up with shit that we just talked about for the last minute. So let's get Magda and Simo.
We're back. No, wait, we were never anywhere. No, the official. I messed it up. So the official story is that we have been here all the time. We are not back from any place.
Exactly.
Yes. Sorry, ignore
Yeah.
that. How are you,
Yeah,
Magda?
I'm great. Happy to see you guys and be part of your standard deviation experiment. I've been enjoying it. I
Yeah.
told Juliana I've been listening for the first six chats you had this year. So I really love it. You're easygoing and fun. So hopefully I'm going to learn that from you as well.
Oh,
I just
so you're
edited
not
that.
easygoing or fun?
I can be even more funner.
So it's
Spending time with fun people makes you even
yeah,
more
that's
fun.
what
So
they say. That's
yeah.
what they say. Yeah, so so how's the morning? It's a Monday morning for you. And I think that you
Yeah.
said that you are very much a morning person, or did I misunderstand this?
I'm at a stage where I'm very much not a morning person. But yeah, no, I woke up like at 7, had a tea, so I could, just feel proper human and have a normal voice. I just simply
Yeah.
can't talk normally after I wake up. But no, it's easy because again, it's easy to chat with you. So
Yeah.
excited to be here.
Yeah. So tell us
Awesome.
about you mentioned something that you have an amazing view. We can't see it, but you can tell us a little about it because we're going to slide that into the discussion.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm at the moment in the Alps in France. Moved here last year and trying to mix this with London. In here, it's very easy access to nature and outdoor activities, while in London, I go back there to have the business and motivational kick. And it's not been easy because we explore so many locations, but now I think, being close to the Alps and Geneva, and then flying to London from time to time, it's a nice mix.
Mm,
Uh, yeah, but
for sure.
and now I have to practice my French, which is not great, but I'm gonna do my best.
You
We
have
can
to
do the rest
because
of the
when
episode in French.
in French, yeah, but like when you go to these French-speaking countries, they even if they know English, they want you to speak in French because they want to
Yeah.
torture you. And
No, they're very nice. To be frank, I thought they're a bit more, less open-minded. But here being very close, this part of France is called Annecy. It used to be part of Italy, and it's very close to Geneva, so it's a bit more international. And they're very patient, I have to say, because I did try to speak French, and they just are patient and listen to me, which I massively appreciate. But Romanian's very close to French, so it should be easy to pick it up.
Yeah.
yeah, the language is similar. When I went to measure Camp Brussels, I went into this patisserie and I was with Valentin and I told him, listen, I'm about to order in French. And I started speaking in French and the lady there started laughing at me because I was trying to sound so French. I was like, je voudrais un croissant. And Valentin was dying laughing. So yeah, I'm not going to do any more attempts. Magda, you are the founder of Growth Savvy. Tell us
I am.
tell us more about what are you doing there at Growth Savvy, and like tell us about when you got started. We would like to just know, the
Yeah.
audience wants to, I want to accommodate the audience with your story, so there me and Simo can go in our
The,
segues.
the audience wants to know what you did right so that you can travel to the Alps and to
Exactly.
London and jet set around the world and work from the top of a mountain. And they want to know what you did right.
Yeah, sure. Well, it was not straightforward. It was not straightforward. So, at the moment, I've been building Growth Savvy for the past 8 years. And when I'm saying 8 years, it seems like a long time, but that's it. And we are a growth agency specialized in data, conversion optimization, and advertising. Well, when I founded back in 2016, when I founded the company, I was 23 years old at that time. And I remember I took a piece of paper and I wrote down all the jobs I've been doing up to that point. And I sorted that there were 12 different jobs up to 22, 23 years old that I did. And the idea was that I wanted to find something that makes me feel alive and free. And it took me a lot of trial and error to find my direction, which is funny because my first solid job was at my mom's bar. I was so small. I was anywhere between 8 and 11 years old, trying to be my mom's assistant. And it's funny because I remember now the bar was so high, I had to sit up on a chair to serve my clients. And they were very nice with me and always offering choco and sweet gifts. So that's why I was a very chunky kid as well. But then fast forward to university, anywhere between 16 and 23 years old, I've been trying jobs in statistics, hospitality, sales, customer support, marketing, conversion optimization, like really small companies, big companies. I was simply trying to find the freedom, to feel the freedom. And in the end, I just realized I need to become an entrepreneur because it doesn't really matter at what I'm doing, but I have to have the big picture. I
Yeah.
have to understand where I'm going. And if you put me in a silo, in a room, and I only can see that, I'm getting depressed. I'm not working. It's just like it's not working for me. And yeah, that's how I got here. But it's been a long journey, and at that time I was struggling big time to find my direction.
So are you now satisfied with where the company is? Or do you have like a 5 to 10 year roadmap planned out and you're going in completely different ways now? Or are you very
Yeah,
happy with how it's going right now?
I'm extremely happy, especially for the past 2 few years when I understood how to hire people, and people, been staying here, and we work together and everyone is committed. The first years were very difficult because trying to bring the nerdish data people with the creative marketing people and making them communicate, it was a hell of a journey. And after a few years, I managed how to do that, and now I feel like everybody's committed. Don't work in silos, and I can focus on training them on strategic thinking. And I also have the space to work on the business, which I didn't. For the first 7 years, I was the expert. The business
Yeah.
just grew because clients liked us and they recommended to other businesses, but there was no sales, no nothing there.
Yeah.
How are you mixing that creativeness right now with strategic thinking and I guess like putting up with everything that's going right right now in digital marketing with actually hiring people and mentoring people? Because I think we have an agency owner? No, we only had leadership, right, from agencies. We never had like an agency owner, Simo, as a guest. And I would be very curious to know like how is it to be able to have that job as the founder, the leader, the CEO, but also be the same. I think when you're in a management or leadership position, you have to also be a psychologist, a life coach, and everything for your employees. And I know your team very well, and all of them are so amazing. But like, how do
Yeah,
you keep up with everything?
they helped me a lot. I'm here. I'm happy with what I do because of them,
Mm.
due to their commitment. So, you've met Alina and Yasmina. We've been working for a couple of years together, and then they grew into leadership roles. And we kind of together, we learned the leadership skills, communication skills. So many times I don't even handle different situations, projects, and teams because they handle them very nicely. And they are the leader of certain, projects and teams. Now I do have to motivate them and do that. But I think like half of my entrepreneur job is done by the managers I have in my team, just because we invested so much time into getting to know each other and supporting each other as human beings,
Yeah.
that I really trust them and they do trust me. And I think that's, we are a team of 20 something people. We're a small agency, but I did take the time to have a healthy foundation, and to have a more normal working uh, contact, because agencies generally are very, very, very intensive. And I
Yeah.
try to find a way to organize this agency while we are sane. Yeah, so that's it. But if we talk about how I managed entrepreneurial, you know, responsibilities with the expert, the truth is that you have to, year by year, you have to decide what you compromise. And
Yeah.
now, starting this year, after so much working on the project and being involved in the business, I took a step back and I only train the business and the teams on strategic thinking. I pay attention to innovations so I can bring in new skills and experts. I'm learning about open API, all this AI trends, and building a sales team. But, obviously I'm not implementing the tags. I'm not implementing the A/B test. I do jump in when they get stuck and I help them to ask the right questions. And that's very interesting because I never knew that this skill is going to be so powerful. But
Mm.
coming from the shoes of this multidisciplinary person, I many times unlock situations by just helping them ask the right
Yeah.
questions.
No, but that's activation. Like that's
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. That's one of the like it doesn't matter if you're in management or leadership. Like just having that
Yeah,
curiosity in you. And sometimes when you hire people who are super proficient at something and they have like a really deep
exactly.
knowledge, and they might not necessarily then they have a tunnel vision where they don't see the world around them. So it's really really powerful. But how? So do you feel pressured as the owner and the de facto leader of your company? Do you feel pressured to always act as an example, to always be kind of with your finger on the pulse of recent trends so that you don't feel complacent and just accept, okay, so the revenue is coming in, I can
Yeah.
retire into the Alps and everybody can focus on their projects? Do you feel pressure that you have to be like a shining example of somebody who's really curious and interested about the world around you?
Yeah, I do feel the pressure and I do feel the need to keep up with what's happening
Yeah.
out there. Now I have to get comfortable with learning. If there's something new in the data tracking industry, I'm going to have a chat with my team. We discuss about that. We invest some time and we look at what's going to be better or worse. But I have to be comfortable to not
Yeah.
take the time to implement those things myself and
Yeah.
just be there, talk with them, keep up with everything. And yeah, it's hard sometimes because like I don't know if I'm more like a more like a sales marketing person or more like a nerd. I never knew what I am actually. So I do feel the need to get my hands dirty, and from time to time I have to do that, but I have to restrain myself from doing that. And my team, actually, they're really funny. They do tell me like, what are you doing here? Like, it's not your job. You go bring some new
Yeah.
clients, be out there, talk about what we do here because we do amazing things, but no one knows.
Stop writing code.
Yeah, stop writing articles. So they are really, we have this alignment where we can
Yeah.
actually, like, I also remember them like, why are you doing this stuff? Like, we have so
Yeah.
many people around you who can help you. We have a personal assistant, we have a couple of
Yeah.
juniors, work with them. Like, we have to always progress and focus on, more interesting things. That's,
So this idea where you want to inspire the people in your company to also be curious and try creative stuff. Have you like formalized that somehow? Do you have like a every first Friday of the month you can do whatever you want and then you demo it to the company? Do you have some daily show and tell, or what did you learn this week type of things, or have you tried something like that?
It's never 100% consistent,
Yeah.
but let's say that one month we have Friday chats where we talk about customer centricity, like how can we make each other feel safer in this team? How can we make the client spend less time into understanding the email we send? How can we make people feel more relaxed when they interact with us? And we apply a lot of customer centricity when we build the advertising or CRO strategies, but we also try to implement that in our team. Or sometimes we simply all together we listen to an ebook or we read an ebook and we jump on a call and we brainstorm what we learned. So for example, we had this book, No Rules. It's written by the Netflix founder, and I really love that. Like we don't have time to micromanage. We don't have time to write every rule we ever came across, but just listening to that ebook and brainstorming each chapter was a fun thing. So we do things like this, and we also have stand-up calls every week. But it's mostly like, how has your weekend been? It's mostly understanding if everybody's well, if their family is well, if they're in a good state of mind, and if we should know about anything.
I read that book too, and one part of that book was that you have to build a different, you have to focus and understand your culture, and all the people that you're gonna hire have to fit with that culture, that specific culture, and which also first have to define what is it like, because it's hard sometimes to understand. And I guess the bigger the company, the culture is the team culture, and then is the company's culture. So I'm wondering, when you're hiring right now, we talked about this on WhatsApp many times, like hiring for skill versus mindset. But are you also considering the culture that you guys have when you're hiring people? Like, how do they fit in there? Would they cause havoc, or would they help and nurture?
Yeah, and how do you define culture? Like, when do values become culture? I think that's what I've always wondered about. Easy questions for you. Go.
Easy question. Well, my partner Alina, she's very into the building the culture and defining that, so I have a lot of help. But what I would say that the basic things we work around is building a high density culture. So high talent density culture, because it's the only way you can give up micromanaging. It's the only way you can do great things. And when we hire, we are 100% entrepreneurial team. So from the personal assistant to the accountant, we are problem solvers, and that's very important because we are spread around 3 continents. And again, you have to be driven, you have to deliver yourself. We don't have the space to push someone to do things. And I believe, the entrepreneurial skills and really motivated people, it's extremely important. But we also have the culture of not hiring, assholes. We need to be, even if someone will be a genius.
Why not?
Why?
A couple of assholes, come on.
There are a couple of there, but I think that's going to destroy everything you've built so far. So we do love highly motivated people, but humble and nice, kind to each other. Not to say we all do mistakes.
Yeah. So wait, humble, highly motivated, super talented, entrepreneurial, creative, funny, curious, team players. It's like so you have 20 people, and that's super, super impressive. Like I can't think of like 2 people in the world who fit that mold.
I've been scanning LinkedIn for 8 years now, so 20 people, it's an easy number to get to. But obviously we don't have it all, and we do mistakes, but it's fine. Like, we have the core things, and we are very happy. Like, the transparency we have in place in our teams, it's insane. Like, we are very really transparent and candid, and we help each other, and we even know each other's childhood trauma. So like, when we get triggered, it's like, I did get triggered, but it's because, my mom was telling me that, so I really got angry. So we are very open, and we try to understand each other, because, beyond delivering some projects, it's really like feeling supported. And again, I'm doing an okay job, but my team also helps me to really achieve these goals.
Yeah. No, I think that's Yeah, that's a really good point. And obviously, like you don't hire someone who has all that. You hire someone who has the potential to have all that. I think that's
Exactly,
and
exactly.
and the longer you're in the game, the sooner in the interview process you
You
notice
can tell.
these tells in the
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
And of course you'll make a, every now and then you make a mistake in hiring, which is super bum, like because hiring is so expensive, and I don't know what the protections are like in Romania, but in Finland, for example, there's a no questions asked grace period where either the employee or the employer can terminate the
Yeah,
relationship precisely because of this, because you
yeah.
never know for sure. But in the US, for example, it's a bit more complicated trying to get rid of someone who you hired. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's very
We so we hire on the London business and Romanian one, and then we work with people who have their own LTDs. If they are
yeah,
from different countries where it's difficult to open the business there, we also
right.
do that. Now with the hiring, what we you know we work we hire a lot through the recommendations, but we
Mhm.
also work on a couple of tasks before
Yeah,
committing to a full-time job. So we 100% we pay the time invested working on a small project, and then we get to know each other, and only afterwards we commit to a long-term partnership.
that's good.
But it's a lot of patience. I think now Alina is hiring a couple of people in her team, and she went so crazy with the process. Like she's been hiring, skimming through people for 2 months. She has a very organized process. She's more tactical. And I was like, are you sure it's not too detailed? But we're going to see. We're going to see who's going to join the
Yeah,
team, and if we manage to get the perfect fit. Myself personally, I'm a bit more spontaneous. Not to say I think it worked quite well so far,
yeah,
but I'm testing the basic skills, make sure the person is motivated, and it, it's a good communicator. But I'm a bit more spontaneous at hiring. That's why now I take a step back, and I'm leading my team to hire to see
yeah,
maybe their approach is better than mine. Because even if I put like 100 steps process, I know myself. I'm gonna give up at the third
yeah.
step, and I'm gonna say, okay, I think I like Mary. Like she's doing great technically. She's problem solver. Okay, fine. Let's work from here on. So
But
let's
that's a
see.
Yeah, but that's really good that you have these different approaches, because I think like my own personal experiences from hiring people over the years is that the more people you have involved in the hiring process, the more varied the outlook will be. And of course, it makes it a bit more complicated and a bit more labor intense. But like if you were in charge of hiring solely, you would have a very certain type of company. And if Alina were only in charge of hiring, then you would have
Yeah,
another type
yeah,
of company. But if you can find, like, if you found that together, that you represent different aspects of
exactly.
the hiring process. So if you can really make that work, then that's amazing, because the I personally am very much in the gut feeling camp as well. Like I if I like a person and I see that they have potential, I'm very willing to give the thumbs up. So I'm always thankful that there are people involved in the process who are more methodical, and they go through like their background and do like
Yeah,
they ask for work samples. I'm happy that somebody else does that, because I don't have any patience for that. I just want to hire them because they're really nice and show a lot of potential. So it's good to have
yeah.
it balanced out.
For sure, and we do tend to hire a copy of ourselves somehow,
Yeah, of
unconsciously,
course.
consciously, and many times, like if my partner said or my colleague said, "No, we're gonna hire this person," I know why, and I'm gonna say, "Yeah, maybe I don't know, I'm not sure." Sometimes I just take a step back and let them do the decisions
Yeah,
so they learn themselves. Like
yeah,
you don't know for sure. Either you take the decision or someone from your team. You never know for sure. Things change as you
yeah,
work with the person, and when you go through difficult intensive deadlines, that's where people show up
yeah,
their true identity and behavior. So yeah, I
yeah,
do allow them to take even strategic decisions. I only show the direction and where we go, I think, and
yeah.
then I need them to take over some of the decision making process, because I can't grow this business if I have to be involved in everything.
I
Yeah.
couldn't imagine hiring copies of myself. I can barely deal with myself. Imagine having three people like me around. I would go.
Just think about all the LinkedIn memes that your team would be putting out.
Yeah, I toned down on the memes this time. Now I'm doing like technical marketing posts. But
That's
I
good.
But it's funny, like Juliana, it's like sometimes I'm like, damn, I should post on LinkedIn because I have to say, since I posted on LinkedIn, it's way easier to hire, 100%. Like it's easily
Simo doesn't like
better.
LinkedIn.
I know you don't like LinkedIn.
Oh my god.
It's
Yeah.
not
No,
that
but
bad.
I understand the realities of LinkedIn though. I know that it's a like whether I like it or not, it's probably the most
Yeah,
effective social media platform at the moment for business people, like and for
it
companies,
is. It
It
is.
is.
First
with
party
Twitter going
data
down the drain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
and a
it's
couple
it's
more.
a huge ROI that you get from LinkedIn, especially if you're like in Magda's case, because she's an entrepreneur, she wants to attract talent, she wants to put, get more attention
Yeah,
to. But even to myself, like I've been talking to you about the issues of separating your personal brand and the company that you work for. So it's like it's a bit of a struggle. Because we don't have too much time left, Magda, I know that you were talking to me on WhatsApp about biohacks, and I thought that was really, really cool.
oh.
So just tell us, what are biohacks and how do you use them for you and your team?
Oh my God. For myself mostly because I've been experimenting a lot. And I'm gonna share a personal story and I'm gonna share only the nicest things because I've been experimenting a lot, but I don't feel the expert, so I'll try to stop at a certain point. So back in 2020, we're talking actually in the context of how do you transition from creative task to technical task, or how do you push yourself through intensive learning objectives. And back in 2020, at the beginning of the year in January, I felt so exhausted that I could barely work for 3 hours. And I started to do all the blood tests, nothing showed up. Like for 3 months, I gave all my blood to these hospitals, but nothing was clear. Like you are perfectly healthy, there's nothing with you. But at the same time, I could not function. So in the meantime, I figured out that after eating, I was getting exhausted and my skin was very itchy. So I got to a nutritionist who has a background in genetics as well. And we did some genetics tests, and then that everything was clear. She was like, obviously, your genes that process gluten and highly processed carbs are dormant, are not working. You should stay away from that. Otherwise, you get fatigue. And
Wow.
looking at my genes, I was going to immediately, in a couple of years, trigger diabetes as well. So that was my starting point to look into how I think about my body, my mind and body. And once I started to give up gluten and eat less processed carbs, I came to life. I can't believe
Wow.
that. Like it was such an amazing shift. And I think like it feels like it saved my life and my career because I really didn't function. But now, if you want to do that perfect, it's gonna give you a lifetime meaningful insights you can use as you get older. But there are also a couple of small things I do. I never miss my 10 to 20 walnuts or almonds a day because we all do want to help the brain have the energy,
Mm.
and good fats are the most important for the brain and going through very intensive learning times. And one another thing I discovered during COVID time, and then I find out it's science based, is that when I shift from technical to creative projects, I do, if I'm at home, I do Irish showers, alternate cold, hot showers, because the trick here is to get more oxygen to your brain. And it works very well. It totally disconnects, and you can easily transition to the next type of project you have. Now, another thing you could do is going out if you have the luxury and walk barefoot on the grass for 10 minutes. It's another tactic to push the oxygen to the brain, but I know it's a hard one. And this kind of small things really help me to have a way more energy and to perform way better. And I realize what I do outside the job, it's every man's help for the job I'm doing. And for the past 2 years, I've been working with this nutritionist, and we work on 3 month goals. Like these 3 months, I want to learn something, new and intensively technical. So I have different natural, herbs I take, or I adjust my dishes. And then one quarter, I want to get better at hiking, so I work on that. So it's just like I've been working to understand my body and mind, so I can be a better leader as well. And it's very interesting. If I'll change my job, I'll study neuroscience and genetics. To be frank, yeah.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
so
Well, that's
cool.
really impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
The cold hot thing. Have you ever been in Finland in the winter? Because we have the ritual of going to the sauna and then going swimming in the ice, then going back to the sauna,
Yeah.
going swimming in the ice, and it like whatever you like, whatever your attitude is towards biohacks or that kind of thing, it is remarkable what it does to your metabolism. Like you can feel like your
Yeah.
blood is your heart is pounding in a good way, and
Yeah.
you feel like you feel all the blood spreading all around you and feel like oxygenated. And so I'm like,
Never
there are
done
certain
that.
things there.
Yeah.
I
But
recommend it.
no,
It's exhilarating
yeah.
and scary.
I've been trying to do that. We have a lake nearby, so I didn't get to go there because, I've been renovating the house we moved in, and
Yeah,
my office is no furniture yet here.
yeah.
So I had,
Simo loves lakes.
Oh yeah, I'm a
yeah,
lake man.
yeah, on the terrace we look at the beautiful lake, and it's just like, I can feel
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
calm down, and the next thing is gonna be to go into the lake during winter, so I
Yeah.
can get my body
But
used to that.
there's also this phenomenon of like Michael Agard, a good friend of mine. He posts like Instagram videos where he has an ice bath at home. So every day he
Okay.
sits into the ice bath and
Yeah.
he stays there longer and longer. And he says that it's done wonders for his physique. And I completely believe that. Like
Yeah.
and of course in the beginning you can only be there for like 30 seconds, but you train your mind and your body to kind of forget the cold
Stay
and
for
numb yourself
longer.
out. So it's really, really, yeah, I like those things. Like they don't have to. And I think many of these biohacks are, you don't necessarily have to even look at the actual physiological things there. You can just think of them also as rituals. Like
Yeah.
you do these things every single day. And whether there's a science behind them or whether it's just you like calming your mind down and organizing
Yeah. Exactly.
it's really impressive. And I think those are very, if you create an association where every time I do 20 push-ups, I'm more creative, then,
Yeah.
every time you do 20 push-ups, you will be more creative. It's like asserting
You
yourself.
prime yourself.
Yeah. And manifesting these things. That's a really
Exactly.
good tip. I think that, do you have your company, like your employees, do you inspire them? Do you tell them about these things? Do they try them out as well?
Yeah, I've been talking with them, and most of them are aware, so they try to put in place small things. I
Yeah.
think sometimes I'm taking a bit too an extreme, so a couple of things there, but they try to do the small things they can incorporate in their families. And I
Yeah.
think I have people in my team who have families and babies and kids, so definitely they have to adjust to their own lifestyle. Obviously, like I have no kids yet, so what a luxury life, so much time
Yeah.
to think of these old
Yeah.
things. But yeah, they do try to implement some of these tactics themselves.
Yeah, but
That's really cool.
especially for people with kids, I think that finding these routines that are only for you and
Yeah.
allow you to take time for yourself, I
Yeah.
think those are even doubly important, because with kids you feel like you've given up that part of your life very
That's
often.
always my morning coffee. Like one
Yeah.
hour, I don't want to talk to nobody. I'm just sitting, I'm looking outside, thinking, clearing my head. Very Eastern
Yeah.
European coffee and cigarettes. But for me, it works. It's not healthy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for me, it sets me up for
Yeah,
the
for
day.
sure. Yeah.
And
You do
that's
need a bit of space to hear yourself. That's the challenge. Like
which is
we're
very
not
hard.
Yeah.
we're not like super we're gonna have kids or not, so we'll see. But like it's a bit of fear that, am I gonna have space to hear my mind?
You will in
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously,
But
if you get some help, I think it's gonna work.
Yeah. Well, the help often comes from the other caretaker as well, and they kind of learn about your needs. Hopefully, they do.
Yeah.
But I think even if you're a single parent, you find the way to do this, because it's just so ridiculously important. But Yeah, maybe we don't take the next
Yeah.
half an hour to talk about parenthood because we have to start wrapping up. But
Okay, and the
really,
next one.
yeah, I really love these ideas, and I think that at the core of this whole thing is you've built a successful agency, and obviously you're doing your best at
Thank
being an
you.
example for your employees. And I think that's just, people tend to forget that, especially in an organization that becomes very corporate, because they see employees and managers as replaceable units.
Yeah.
And even though that's technically true, like everybody is replaceable, when you start a small agency, I think you become very much the blueprint of what that culture is going to be like.
Exactly.
So it sounds like you've done a really
a more vulnerable
amazing job.
situation where you have to help them and they have to help you. So it's an ongoing, it's like in any other personal relationship, especially in small companies, you have to really be thoughtful. Otherwise,
But you also, I think that it's also like a cliche, but it's also like a family in the way that when your employees become accustomed to what the culture is like, they naturally start working with that and building the culture as well. So they become less codependent on you as the founder and the hiring person. They become self-motivated if it's a good company. Yeah.
Exactly. But anytime they can walk away, they're amazing people. They can walk away any minute. And that's what I want for them. I want them to build into such amazing experts that they stay here because they want, they enjoy, not because they are not hired by other companies. And I think we're all not that. We know that, and it's been working well. I still hope to keep them with me for a long time, but it's their decision.
So where can people find you and reach out to you to get hired and work for Growth Savvy?
Yeah, sure. Send me some emails and messages. I think LinkedIn is the go-to platform at the moment. I'm, active on Instagram as well, but that's a bit more, if you want to know what I'm doing on a daily basis, Instagram. If you want to know what I'm thinking about business and data and conversion optimization, it's LinkedIn. So wherever you want, it's all my profiles are open out there, nothing to hide.
We'll make sure we add them to the episode notes and also your website and Alina's LinkedIn so people can go to get hired. But thank you so much for being here. This was really cool. And I'm going to try this almond thing because like when I eat almonds, I'm normally like this with the best. Because I have these almonds that are with sea salt and honey, and they're so good. So I'm working, and then I'm just it's horrible.
Yeah, and the ones that are like chocolate oh man,
I cannot eat those anymore because I went vegan and my vegan cow phaser is off, so I'm done. But
Magda, wish you good luck with that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Magda.
And I'll see everyone next time.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.